All right, fellas, the Arrow podcast, and we are 1-0. Let's jump in.
Red and gold, red and gold, red and gold.
All right, the Arrow podcast, man. Let's run over and jump right into this Chiefs victory over the Ravens, which was much anticipated. Highly anticipated, fellas. I hate to say. Now, a message for all the haters and the flat earthers, and I say that because I call them conspiracy theorists. You know, the guys that their team sucks so bad, so they think that everything is a conspiracy, everything's rigged. You know, those guys, but when, those guys' teams win, then, there's no rigging going on when their team wins. Just, the Taylor Swift, the Super Bowl's rigged. Oh, the Chiefs, even though they were the most penalized team last year. Oh, the refs are on their side, even though we had plenty of penalties. And the Ravens were, sadly and just unprepared. Clearly, obviously, illegal formation, obvious as day. Guys, if you want to see how we were lined up and why we didn't get illegal formation, well, Andy Reid's the best coach in football. Also, just go run the tape back from any season. We line up exactly the same way every single season. That's why, we are who we are. We're always prepared when it comes to things like that. Like in the Super Bowl when we were prepared when it came to overtime. Oh, so now that we got that out of the way, guys, sorry about that. Chiefs Kingdom, stand up because we're 1-0. Now, I do got some notes here that I probably should have had out that I am going to pull out in about 4 seconds. 1, 2, okay, let's say 2 seconds. Now, few things to go over, guys. I did write down some notes. We're not going to read those, though, because, maybe some curse words in there in a few situations. Now, although I wouldn't have called this a necessary nail-biter, in my last video, I did tell you guys what was going to happen if you want to go back and watch it, and it wasn't because I'm just some huge Chiefs fanboy, guys. I foreseen this. Week 1, we are monsters. Go look at Patrick Mahomes' record. Week 1, he is, I believe, 6-1 now. Andy Reid is a ridiculous, he has a ridiculous record in Week 1. So Week 1 is our bread and butter, guys. We always normally win Week 1. Week 1 last season should have won. We should have won as well against the Lions, but somebody couldn't catch the ball. Kadarius Toney, that is no longer on the team. So, this is just what we do, guys. So, I don't understand the conspiracy theorists and whatnot. But anyways, moving on from the clowns. So, I'm pretty sure there'd be some guy down in the comments who's some, who knows, Raiders fan, maybe a 49ers fan. You guys are Swifties. Anyways, so, Chiefs Kingdom, fellas. Rashee Rice dominated, guys. Rashee Rice looked good. I spoke on that in my last video. Point blank period. I will repeat myself. Rashee Rice established himself as receiver 1. He's going to be our receiver 1. And I have also kind of foreseen that as well. I also anticipated that. The fact that he stepped up the way he stepped up yesterday against that defense, guys, which was last year the number 1 defense. We don't know this year, but they will be top 3, I assure you. So, let's just say top 3 defense this year. Last year, number 1 defense. He stepped up big time. 100 yards. It is what it is. I knew he was going to do what he did. He had 103 yards off 7 receptions. Dude was a monster, 14 yards per. He was averaging per play. Looked very good. He looks a little faster, just a little bit slimmer. He looks like he wants to be receiver 1. He has the chemistry with Mahomes, which we seen coming, right? And he was eating those linebackers alive, point blank. Xavier Worthy, anticipated that too, guys. I'm sorry to keep saying it, but it is that I did. Just go back and look at my videos. But anyways, Xavier Worthy looked very good. He had 68 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, I've seen him getting about 60, 70 yards with 1 touchdown. He had 2 touchdowns. One was off a broken coverage due to Marlon Humphrey, and one was off that jet sweep that reminded me of Tyreek Hill. Chiefs Kingdom, guys. He looked... There's guys that move, those guys that are fat. We'll use Isaiah Pacheco as a little example. Sometimes when he runs, he doesn't necessarily look the fastest. When you watch Tyreek Hill run, the dude looks like he's Flash. Well, Xavier Worthy looked pretty similar. And I hadn't really seen that since Tyreek Hill, as far as someone looking like they're running as fast as they, normally run, which is a 4.2. Which is ridiculous. So, Xavier Worthy looked really good. The right side of the O-line had a rough day. Looked bad. Sorry. They did not look good. But remember, guys, week 1, I won't say you take with a grain of salt, but everyone is knocking the rust off, man. Everyone. So, everyone gets a pass week 1. Point blank. But doesn't mean I ain't going to talk about it. Doesn't mean I'm not going to bring it up. But I do feel like everyone does get a pass week 1 because you just have to knock the rust off. So, O-line had a rough day. Kingsley Suma, I'm not going to say his last name because I'm going to bomb it. You guys know who I'm talking about. Our newly rookie left tackle, Kingsley, number 76, for those of you that don't know the Chiefs. And if you don't, why are you here? But anyways, he looked like a monster, guys. I think we got a gem. Now, yeah, I said, week 1 you get a pass. But the good you do is, a super plus, considering you're knocking the rust off. Kingsley looked ridiculous, guys. He looked very impressive, okay? Now, that one sack that it seemed like he may have allowed, that to me... Now, you guys let me know down in the comments how y'all felt about that, if you know exactly what I'm talking about. I wouldn't say that was Kingsley's fault. I feel like Patrick Mahomes drifted back a little too far. So I do feel like that was Patrick Mahomes' fault. Those of you that know, if you are a part of Chiefs Kingdom, it is hard to block for Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes does tend to ad-lib a little bit more than, normal quarterbacks. That's why he is who he is. That's why he's the best. That's why he's a back-to-back Super Bowl champion. That's why we'll three-peat. Anyways, so our O-line had a rough day, point blank. Right side looked terrible. Jawan Taylor, week 1 he gets passed, but he was doing things that he's kind of been doing. He slowed down last year towards the end of the season, but come on, man, you got to tighten those flags. Those false starts, you got to tighten those up. Okay. Oh, by the way, he did get a few flags, right? Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyways, so the O-line definitely, needs some work. They'll be fine though. We know what's up. Trey Smith, Jawan Taylor, they'll be fine. They had a rough out yesterday, so I will say that. Now, the 3 to 4 drops in crucial situations. Now, I will say this. The guys that did drop the ball, it's not too big of a deal. They're not Kadarius Toney, and they're also not known to drop the ball. But the 3 of the 4 drops made this game close, okay? You guys aren't posting the conspiracy theorists, the flat earthers, the guys that believe the earth is flat and stuff like that. Yeah, those guys wouldn't have no material if it wasn't for these 3 to 4 drops, okay? At least 2 of them. One's a touchdown, right? The Juju Smith-Schuster drop. We would have been on the 1 yard line. Looked like he was in the end zone, but we would have at least been on the 1 or 2 yard line. That was going to be a touchdown for sure, period. Or 3 points. And the other 2 drops were in crucial situations. One would have put us in the red zone. One was putting us about 5 yards outside of the red zone, which we all know who Harrison Butker is. By the way, Serena Williams, we need Harrison Butker. We don't care what you need, but Chiefs Kingdom needs Harrison Butker. Okay, thank you. We don't need you, but we need Harrison Butker. So, anyways, now, yeah, so Harrison Butker obviously would have knocked those down like he normally does. But long story short, the Flat Earthers would have had no material to use if it wasn't for those 3 or 4 drops, because the Ravens would have gotten blown out. They got lucky, point blank, period. They got lucky that it wasn't a blowout, okay? That's probably why, that saying that the ball doesn't lie, that's probably why his foot was on the line, guys, because it deserved to be. Period. They deserved to lose that game. Point blank, period, okay? Also, I ain't going to say that, but the pretty ridiculous interception that Patrick Mahomes threw right to Raheem Smith, or whatever, the linebacker, I believe, Raheem Smith, the linebacker for the Ravens. Come on, guys. Now, I understand Lamar Jackson fumbled, but we earned that, okay? That Mahomes just threw the ball to the guy. That was pretty bad, but that was due to the pressure. That was due to the bad O-line play last year. And I don't mean as a whole, because the left side with Kingsley, Joe Thuney had a few little hiccups, but for the most part, he did his thing. Creed Humphrey, best center in the league by far, not even close. So they did their thing. Right side of the line looked bad, egregious, period. But once again, not worthy. Oh, you get Xavier, not Xavier. No, not worried. So let's go ahead and move on to the defense. Now, the defense looked gassed. Now, they were out there because of themselves. They were out there all day long because they just couldn't get a stop on third down conversion, I believe. The Ravens I believe they completed 50 or 60% of their third down conversions. The defense looked out of sync. They looked tired. They looked very rusty. I'm not worried, though, because it clearly looked like rust. Justin Reed didn't play in preseason, barely even went to training camp. Jalen Watson barely played, same thing, barely did training camp, did no preseason. I think he played like one game. So it was a rusting. Also, Nick Bolton, same thing. Nick Bolton didn't really play any preseason games. So it looked like we were a little out of sync and it was a little rusty. But if you know the Chiefs, guys, those of you that are a part of Chiefs Kingdom, those of you that are interested in the Chiefs, we do this every single year. Our defense starts slow. I don't know what it is. I'm cool with it because guess what? When it comes postseason time, we become a top 5, top 3 defense almost every single season in the postseason, period. Point blank. So I'll take it. But every single season, guys, we start off slow defensively. We look a little weird. It looks like we may be bad, and then we end up strapping up and tightening up towards the end. So I'm not too worried at all. What I will say, I won't say I'm worried, but the defensive line did not look good. Now, I understand we're playing a Lamar Jackson. We're playing a Lamar Jackson that lost 15 pounds as well. So he's faster, he's quicker. So that probably was a pretty big factor. By the way, one thing I will say, Leo Chanel he spied Lamar Jackson. He did a heck of a job. He was bull rushing people on their O-line. Leo Chanel was a dog yesterday, guys. I think he might be a dark horse moving forward because he showed some grit yesterday, and he was hawking down Lamar Jackson all night. So that was interesting to me. Now Nick Bolton got turned around a few times. I don't know why we tend to find Nick Bolton in coverage. Now, I will say that Nick Bolton initially, I would say probably most of the time is because we anticipate getting pressure and there was no pressure. That's why, Nick Bolton had him initially on the slant. And I'm talking about Isaiah Likely, who's apparently running his mouth, if they played their best, I feel good luck in the postseason. I think he's forgetting that he's talking to repeating Super Bowl defending champions. think he forgets that he's talking to the guys that beat him in the AFC Championship to go on and win the Super Bowl. Huh, interesting. But anyways, let's move on. Flat earthers, right? Yeah. So, anyways, I lost my train of thought. Wow. Anyways, so yeah, the defense. Back to the defense, guys. So I'm not necessarily worried about the D line. I wouldn't say infuriated. It was a little irritating, not getting the push. And back to, Lamar Jackson losing weight and us kind of, our D line kind of somewhat being lost at times and just gassed. That was that's what happens when you stay on the field on third down, man. I mean, they converted over 50% of their third downs. So I will say this. We held them to 20 points week 1. Once again, guys, what I was saying earlier about, our style of play, the Chiefs defense always starts off slow. Guess what, man? 20 points, that's progress. That's a step in the right direction, fellas. That is a step in the right direction. I will take it. 20 points, week 1, take it. And it might be scary for the NFL. Now, the NFL is already scared because Xavier Worthy stretching the field. Hollywood Brown didn't play. What are you going to do when he plays and he comes back week 1? What are you going to do? You're going to have to pick your poison. Travis Kelce had like I believe he had 2 or 3 receptions. Which is beautiful because we don't want Travis Kelce used until he's needed. So guys, the NFL is on notice. Point blank period. I mean, the league is scared. You got to understand, guys. All these teams are watching us like, oh no, look at Xavier Worthy, man. Rashee Rice, we weren't even talking about him. Yeah, nobody was really talking about Rashee Rice too much. But I'm telling you right now, receiver 1, he has something to prove. Now let's just hope and pray he doesn't get suspended. Please. I just had to show that. I just had to show this real fast. Please don't get suspended. So, anyways, back on the defensive side, guys. The D-line, we need Charles Omenihu back, which won't be till like week 6, week 7, week 8. So, Cam Thomas didn't really play. It's a guy we picked up from the Cardinals, the defensive end, who says he loves is going to be at home playing in a 4-3 system, likes putting his hand in the dirt. Hopefully he brings some upside. We definitely going to need some more defensive tackle help. But the D-line, yeah, guys, we gon' see. Now, I will, like I said, we'll chop week 1 up to rust. Week 2, we'll see what's up. Because our D-line does somewhat always kind of start the same way too, man. It's like the first game, it's 1 sack, maybe 2, and it seems, rough. And then next thing you know, we end up number 1 or number 2 in sacks, right? I mean, we technically have the same people on defensive line. So I don't see that necessarily change. I don't see us regressing as far as the D-line. So I'm not too worried yet. If they play like that again, I somewhat will be. So Big Uzama, Felix, DK, I hope I'm saying that right. Uzama, I call him Big Uz. He did okay, man. I don't know what to think. I mean, he's strong. He's getting a few of these bull rushes here and there. He made a few plays, but he's not looking like I thought he would at this time. So I'm getting a little nervous on that. So we'll see. We'll have to we'll have to pay close attention on that. One thing, the corners. I was a little impressed, just a little bit. I was a little impressed. Jalen Watson got burnt one time. Obviously, remember, he's knocking off the rust. He was one of the guys that didn't play. He was injured a lot of the time during training camp. Played 1 game in preseason. So, but anyways, long story short, he got burnt one time. But for the most part, as a whole, the corners did not look too bad at all. I was a little impressed, and I wouldn't say shocked, but I was a little impressed by the corners. That was the number one thing I was worried about going into this game was our corners. So, but So as a whole, defense did okay, man. They did okay. Now, once again, week 1, I chop it up to Russ. We got the dub. That's all that matters. We'll see what goes on headed to the Bengals, fellas. Headed to the Bengals. So we need that dub right there. We need that. Got to get that point blank. So that's all I got for you guys, man. The Arrow Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Help me help you. You know what's up. The earth is round, by the way, guys. Just had to throw that out there. I'm outros.
Yeah, we running out of time. Won't fly, catch me in the end.